Moving on then, when we are studying maths, so we're going through this motion of we're going to be doing questions and we're going to be struggling at times and we're going to seek help. When you seek help, for example, you might pop onto Boost and I will show you how to do something in a totally different way than your teacher does it. And then you might jump to one of our solution videos and you'll see, okay, well, they've worked with the marking scheme and seen another way of doing something. It's really good and healthy in your maths revision to see things from another perspective. There is simply not one way to get an answer to any question. Think of the different ways you can add to make 5. There's infinitely many, 2 and 3, 1 and 4. Then you go into your decimals. All of them achieve the same correct answer. So I think it's really nice for you, if you're in a position that you've mastered a topic, to go and explore some other ways of doing it. Algebra is very much the realm that this can happen in, but same with problem solving questions around areas or trigonometry is nice too. So what I want to do is show you these 2 questions, and it was students who had shown me over the years the different styles and ways they'd have approached them. So there's the ways I, as a teacher, from learning the methods and strategies over the years that I'd employ, but then being creative and thinking outside the box got these figured out in a different way. So if we jump over and practice a few of these, so if you're in higher level, you would have probably seen most of this by now. Those at ordinary level may not have, but it's good to see how other methods can work. So we're told here to express 4x squared plus 16x plus 12 in the form a times x plus b squared plus c. Now, some of you might recognize this as complete square form. This is also called vertex form, and there's some steps that you might need to know to figure this out. And I know in my Studyclix Boost video, I go through this way. First things first, we need to factor out the coefficient of x squared. So we're going to factor out 4. And we're going 4 into 4x squared to give me x squared, 4 into 16x to give me 4x, and 4 into 12 to give me plus 3. And the steps for completing the squares are as follows. We halve the coefficient of x, we square it, we add and subtract it in. So first things first here, we have the number in front of x. So I halve 4, which is 2. I square this number. 2 squared is 4. And then I add and subtract in this number 4. So where do I do this adding and subtracting? Right here. Okay, so let's rewrite our expression. I'm going to get 4 times x squared plus 4x plus 4 minus 4 and plus 3. So we're following our steps. And don't stress if you've not covered complete square form yet, or you've not gotten to it in your revision. You will. Right, what's next here? Well, the first 3 terms inside this bracket are a perfect square quadratic. And if I actually think about my squaring from earlier, square the first, square the last, double the first by the last, that comes into play here. Because what squared gives me x squared? Well, it's x. And what squared gives me the 4 at the end? Well, that's plus 2. And if we square that out, you get that quadratic. So we're going to say that that yellow part is x plus 2 squared. Now, let me keep all the rest of my numbers. I have a 4 in front. I have a big green bracket. And at the end, I've got minus 4 plus 3. So minus 4 plus 3 is minus 1. So I'm going to stick a minus 1 here at the end and close my bracket. Looking up at the form, I need to multiply that 4 into the brackets. So 4 multiplied by the x plus 2 squared is 4 times x plus 2 to be squared. And we multiply the 4 by the minus 1 to give me minus 4. And there we have our answer in the form a times x plus b squared plus c. We have completed the square for this quadratic. Now, let's say it's the Christmas exams, it's the mocks, or it's June 2026 or 2027, and you're saying, I remember Stephen banging on here about steps for complete square form. To hell, I cannot remember them. Let's have a look at another way. And way 2 here is really nice because you don't need to remember any steps whatsoever. So let me show you what we do. We take the 4x squared plus 16x plus 12, and I'm saying, right, they want me to make this look like this. A times x plus b squared plus c. I'll write a nicer squared there, s squared plus c. Right, well, this is now an equation, and what I'm going to do, sorry, apologies, I'll actually just write this a bit neater. There's no use me showing you if we can't read it. So we're going a times x plus b to b squared plus c. Now, I have an equation here, and I want to balance both sides of it. So let's see what we're going to do. Let's zoom into this. What I'm going to do is expand and multiply out the right-hand side. I'm going to keep the a out front. I'm going to square that bracket. How do I square a bracket? Square the first, square the last, double the first by the last. So I square the x to give me x squared. I square the b to give me b squared, and I double the first by the last. So 2 by x is 2x, 2x by b is 2bx. And then I have a plus c coming here at the end. Last thing I'll do is multiply the a in. So I get ax squared plus 2abx plus ab squared plus c. And I know this all has to equal that same left-hand side of 4x squared plus 16x plus 12. Now, we've not done any steps, we've just let them equal and we've multiplied it out. We're going to equate the coefficients of the x squareds, the x's, and the constants. So on the left-hand side, I hope you'll agree there's a 4 in front of the x squared, and that has to equal the coefficient of x squared on the right, because these things are in balance. So that has to equal the number in front of the x squared, which is a. So you can see there I've gotten a equals 4. Let's move on to the x terms, okay? So if I think about the 16 in front of the x on the left, that has to equal the number in front of the x on the right, which is 2ab. Now I'm saying to myself, Stephen, you know a is 4, so fire that in, 2 by 4b, and I'm getting 16 is equal to 8b, divide both sides by 8, 16 divided by 8 is 2, so I'm getting here that b is equal to 2. And then finally, I'll think about the constants and say a constant has no x, so on the left-hand side, that's the 12, and the things without the x on the right are ab squared plus c. Now, we know a and we know b, so let's fire these numbers in. A is 4 and b is 2. That has to be squared, and that gives me c. And I get 12 equals 4 by 2 squared is 16 plus c. Now, if we want to isolate c on its own here, we'll subtract 16 from both sides to give me minus 4 equals c. So why did I find these numbers? Well, I'm going to go back up here to my complete square form and fill in what a, b, and c are. So a is 4, so I get 4 times x plus b squared, x plus 2 squared, and then I have a plus c, so it's plus minus 4, so we're just going with our minus 4. And if we have done this right, which we absolutely have, I go back over to my first way of doing it and see that we got the exact same answer. So look out for these in your revision, particularly if you're crunching for that top grade. You're going to have to problem solve in the exam in ways you've never seen before. So the best way to prepare for that is to keep ourselves open to these niche wee ideas. We'll take a look at one more way, and it's a little bit quicker than our last one. We're asked to simplify the following. I've x cubed minus 8 over x minus 2 squared. Now, those who recognize the top line here as a difference of 2 cubes, fair play, because it is. X cubed minus 8 is the same as x cubed minus 2 cubed. And back to the formulas I'm telling you we need to remember. If I have x cubed minus x cubed minus y cubed, it's equal to x minus y times x squared plus xy plus y squared. Okay, so x in this case for me is x, and y in this case is going to be the 2 because that's 2 cubed. So let's fire this into our formula to give me x minus y, x minus 2 multiplied by x squared, which is x squared plus xy. So 2 by x gives me 2x, and plus y squared, the y here is 2, so 2 squared is 4. So hopefully you can see that I've filled in for x and y here, and that's the factorized version of that. Now what they want me to do is to take that x minus 2 times x squared plus 2x plus 4, and in the question they want us to divide that by x minus 2. Right, you can see there on the top line we have a factor of x minus 2, on the bottom I have a factor of x minus 2. Factor divided by itself gives me 1, so the answer to this question here is x squared plus 2x plus 4. Now this way of doing it, and again if you haven't revised it, that's fine so far, if this way of doing it requires memorizing that formula for the difference of 2 cubes, I want to show you another way that we can work this out without any formula, without any memorizing. So let me just get rid of that for the moment. And let's think about the question again. They want me to take x cubed minus 8 and divide it by x minus 2. That's another way of thinking about this question. And how do I do division? Well, I think about this big division symbol. I'm taking my x minus 2 and I need to divide it into that. Now, typically when we have a cubic, we have an x squared term, we have an x term, and we have a constant when we normally see these set up. So let's have a look at this here in the format we'd normally see it. Now you can see what I've done there. I've added in a 0x squared because there is none, and I've added in a 0x because there is none, and I want to just have the format so I can long divide, and we're just going to do our long division. And at higher level particularly, that's a skill we have at the back of our hand. So we go x into x cubed leaves me with x squared on top. I take this x squared and multiply it back, so I get x cubed minus 2x squared. You can see where I've written that. Step 2 is we change our signs on the bottom, minus and a plus. I always circle my signs when I change them. Then I know I have done it. We remove our x cubes, there's 0. Then I've got 0x squared plus 2x squared, which is 2x squared, and the rest all comes on down. We go again now, first into first. X into 2x squared gives me 2x. So on top, I'm given a 2x here. Multiply back with our 2x. So I'm getting 2x by x, which is 2x squared, and 2x by minus 2, which is minus 4x. On that bottom line, I'm changing the signs. You can see here I'm circling them so I know they're changed. And then we're adding together. We've 2x squared minus 2x squared, which is 0. 0x plus 4x gives me 4x. And I've minus 8 at the end. And we go again, first into first, x into 4x gives me 4 on top. I take the 4 and multiply it back to give me 4x minus 8. And finally, I'm changing the signs. I have a minus and a plus. I'm circling them so I know I've done it. And I get a remainder of 0 at the end. And you can see here on the top, we got the same answer as our difference of 2 cubes. We got x squared plus 2x plus 4. And if I go down here towards the end, you can see, do a wee zoom here, we have the exact same. Apologies, that's us there. So x squared plus 2x plus 4 for both ways. So main message from all of that, everyone, is to stand back and take a look at other approaches. Yes, we do need to learn the formulas at times. Yes, we'll have to use them, but also just see, can we get creative with figuring things out?